Well, it's another week, and our biggest, craziest, wildest. We got 10 topics. We got 10 news topics today, sir.
Let me guess what we're going to talk about. Marvel.
No, you have a list.
DC. Star Wars.
No, you might be surprised.
See, we only ever talk about all the same things, Brady.
Yeah,
you can't possibly be anything other than that.
There's some variety this week. Definitely some Disney. There's definitely Disney in there. But
Disney owns half the industry, so it's hard to get away from.
Yeah, 3/4 of the things you just listed were Disney. Hello and welcome to the Movie Man Podcast.
Yeah, the B team.
That is not Pete.
And this isn't Bob Iger.
Right. I'm Brady. This is way too confusing. I'm Brady.
And I'm Carl.
And this is our weekly movie news show. So if this is your first time joining us, then kind of the way this works is once a week we sit down and we talk about some of the things that happened in the last week of movie news. And
the things we care about.
The things we care about. We kind of give our opinions and our opinions and we just talk cents. Yeah, we talk about it and we kind of offer a little bit of insight. I try to offer a little bit of behind the scenes insight whenever I can, right?
Give a phone call up to George Lucas and be like, "Hey, what's up with this Star Wars thing?"
Yeah, which I try, and he says, I don't know. I don't own it. I don't know." I try, but in all honesty, I do try to limit. I feel like I only have so many George Lucas phone calls, and so I don't want to, I don't want to shoot all my lifelines in one shot.
Right.
Does that make sense?
You only get one hall pass a year.
Yeah, exactly. So, like I said, it's a packed show today, so we're just going to jump right in. Speaking of Disney, so Disney bought Fox a little while ago. And one of the things that a lot of people were kind of curious about when Disney bought Fox is what was going to happen to some of Fox's more adult kind of IPs, right? Not like the stuff that doesn't fall into the Magic Kingdom kind of envelope. One of those franchises being the Alien films. Obviously started back in, the first one is late 70s?
1979.
79. Ridley Scott's Alien. And then, of course, that went on to James Cameron did one. And then, who did the third one? It's another big name. Alien 3 was directed by directed by David Fincher. Yeah. So kind of a franchise that's been passed around back and forth. The last couple entries back with Ridley Scott. But yeah, now Disney owns it. And we're all kind of sitting here going, are we going to get more Alien, or is that a little too, is that something that they're not going to prioritize? Well, a little while ago, we got Prey, which was sort of the newest installment in the Predator franchise. And was quite good.
Yeah, I enjoyed it.
I maintain Prey is the best entry since the original. I think it's the best one that, for my taste, my interest, in my opinion, I like it the second best out of the entire franchise.
Yeah, I would. The first holds up as being one of probably the best in the series.
You son of a bitch.
I think followed closely by, was it? I think it was just Predator.
Alien versus Predator. Yeah.
No, not Alien versus Predator. I think it was just the one where the main character gets abducted and sent to like a predator hunting ground.
Oh, they all kind of start to blend together, you know.
Well, most of all of them are on Earth except for that one.
Right. Yeah, but I don't know. I don't know which one that was. But anyways,
I'm blanking on them.
When Prey came out, that definitely sort of breathed some life into the possibility of more Alien.
Yeah. It's definitely it's if it's third on my list, it's a very close to second, third.
Right. And so we have official word now that Disney is moving forward with a new Aliens movie. Not only it is a new Aliens movie coming, but we have a cast. And I got to tell you, I pulled up the cast list that they announced for this movie, and I don't recognize anybody. Which
they're not bringing back Sigourney Weaver?
No, and I mean Sigourney Weaver hasn't been back for the last couple of them, right? Like it's sort of the prequels that they did.
It'd be kind of a really cool story to say, like, this is where she is now after all this stuff has happened.
Yeah. I mean, depending on where they're planning on setting it in sort of the timeline and you know, and within like physical proximity to where her character, what was her character's name? It was like a unique name. Look that up.
I'll get it for you in a second. Keep going. Ripley.
Yeah. Where Ripley's character would be sort of, you know, in proximity to where the new story is going to happen. Listen, there's nothing wrong with the fact that the cast is a bunch of relatively unknowns. In fact, that could be a total beneficial thing for this film. What I'm curious about your opinion, how up to date, like, have you seen all the Alien films?
I know I've seen. Fun little side story here that's related. I saw my parents rented Alien from the movie store back when those were things. When
like
I
the
was
OG, the first one?
Yeah, I must have been like,
which is just straight up horror, that one.
Yeah, 5, 6, maybe even 7 years old, somewhere in that vein. I was younger than I should have been. And I was like in the living room watching it while they were watching. And I remember having nightmares about it.
Knowing your parents, I can't even picture I'm struggling to watch your parents sit down to watch this.
I don't know why they got that one. We got a lot of root stuff. Like, I mean, back then, you'd go to the movie store and you'd kind of peruse and you'd grab what fits your fancy, right? Kind of like, this is kind of for those that haven't ever been to a movie store, because we're ancient.
Yeah. And all you really had to go on was...
It's like surfing Netflix, but you don't get previews.
You don't get previews. You can't really... all you sort of have to go on is the write-up on the back of the box.
Yeah.
Right? It's not like they were hopping on the internet and well, what is this film about? And who's in it?
Yeah.
And,
so you may have talked to a friend who's seeing it, or you could ask an associate that works at the store what it's about and if it's any good. But for the most part, your entire judgment is based off of your prior knowledge about the film before you got to the store
and the box art.
Don't have any prior knowledge about it, what the box art and description says.
Yeah.
So I'm assuming it was one of those situations where my dad was just like, "Oh, I heard this was good. It looks cool. Let's watch it." You know, it looks like a Western in space because
picture of an egg on the front. Yeah,
yeah.
I like eggs.
But so I've seen that one. I know I've seen the second one. I'm not sure if I've seen the third one. I've seen Prometheus, so I've missed 4 Resurrections, and I haven't seen Covenant yet. That came out in 2017.
Oh, okay. Listen, I think and this may be an unpopular opinion. I think that it's time for the Alien franchise to just go back to basics, right? So the first one is straight up horror, right? You just have sort of this colony, they're out on space, and there's some alien eggs, and stuff is bad, and something's aboard the ship. We don't want it aboard the ship. From there, it became very like the second one is, I mean, it feels like James Cameron was cutting his teeth and like prepping himself for what he wanted to do sort of with Terminator, right? Like it's a sci-fi horror space militaristic kind of thing. The third one is all like set in a like this not abandoned, but this sort of like super remote space prison thing, and it's kind of goes action even more. And then the new ones, like the prequel ones that we've got, sort of leaned back into the horror, but they also, I think, as much as I enjoyed them, they were kind of weighted down by trying to introduce all of this extra lore, right? Like trying to introduce new species, new variations on the xenomorphs, and the history of them and the background and all of this stuff. And it was cool. It was fascinating. Like, I enjoyed it, especially if you sat down to watch Prometheus and didn't know what you were watching going in, it's not until like the last 25 minutes of the movie that you go, holy shit, this is an aliens film. It doesn't
focus on the aliens as much as it does the what do they call them?
I don't know, the Isu, or the first civilization, the ones that came before.
The ones that created them.
Yeah. And so I think as interesting as all of that can be, I think we're ready for just a straight up colony in space. Something gets onto the ship, or something gets into the base, something, blah, 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 whatever it is. And just like tense scenes and suspense and jump scares and whatever else. But what are your thoughts? Is this are you interested in new alien films? Are you kind of over it at this point? Should we let this be an IP that dies out? And if not, then what is the direction? Do we keep building on this crazy lore and take it even deeper and turn it into this whole expansive universe? Or do we just go, hey, you know what? This started as a horror franchise. It hasn't taken the straight up basic horror approach in, like 40 years now. So maybe it's time to just get back to that. What do you think?
I don't know. I think, I don't know, with Prey doing such a great job of breathing kind of some new life into the Predator series, right? Like 1 and 2 are really good. One obviously being far superior than 2. Aliens versus Predators was fun, not great.
No, it falls into the same category as like the Freddy versus Jason
is the
stuff.
one that I think is second best in the series. It's got Adrian Brody as the
right. Yeah, it was a relatively recent one.
Yeah. So it was really good. And then you had that kind of 8 years later, 2018, we had The Predator, which wasn't very good. It's probably the worst of all of them. But then we get Prey 4 years later, and Prey is excellent. Like, and kind of breathes kind of some new life into the series. I mean, the fact that these two worlds are linked via Aliens versus Predators in the comics and comics and video games and stuff, I think, like, if they can do what they did with Prey, not necessarily going back in time and more kind of before all the other movies, not like another prequel, but just like have a script that's really solid and just breathes life back into the film or the series, and kind of goes back to the roots of what this series is about, right? which is like these hard to kill, scary, stealthy aliens, and humans being freaked out and not knowing what to do.
Yeah, we don't need all these layers. Just
Yeah.
you know, you got a scary monster, you've got people in the difficult to survive, like you have people in the setting that is outer space, which presents all sorts of scary complications to begin with, right? Like pressurized cabins and airlocks and whatever else.
Yeah, you're in space. Yeah.
So just
we don't need
lean into that.
engineers. That's what they're called. I'm on the Prometheus wiki. We don't need this whole engineers storyline about where the aliens came from. They can just exist in space because, well, as the title says, they're aliens.
Yeah. It was fun. It happened. We have some backstory now. Great. Fantastic. Let's just move forward. You know, I don't need to see them come to Earth. Because it's just like, all of a sudden, I think if you were to, you know, a xenomorph made it to Earth in the modern day and it's wreaking it's just suddenly infinitely less scary. Because it's like, okay, well, you know, now you're on our turf and we can deal with you. Right? Like
what if, the idea of them being on Earth doesn't appeal to me, but something like a colony being infested, like, and them trying to like take back or defend a colony from many aliens would be pretty interesting.
Yeah, possibly. Okay, most importantly though, we want to know what you think. So, you know, drop a comment. Let us know. Reach out to us. Are you sick and tired of aliens? I'm excited. I am excited. I'm not like, oh yeah, I've been waiting for this, but you know, hearing that one is on the way, I'm like, okay, all right, yeah, that's, you know, if we're going straight up horror and you're gonna give me the old fashioned alien experience, I'd go see that in the theater. I think that's a you know, fun big screen bucket of popcorn sort of experience. Moving on, it's talking about how old we are. A long time ago, there was a time before the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And it's true. I know. Right now you're thinking, bullshit. No. It was true. And Marvel, as a company, as a studio, was doing everything they could to fend off bankruptcy. Like they were in a lot of trouble. And so in order to kind of keep the lights on and the heat going, they started offloading a bunch of their characters to any studio that was willing to buy a character or the rights to make films with those characters. Sure, here you go. Here are the rights. Give us tens of millions or however much, probably a shamefully low amount of money by today's standards. Here you go. Go do it. Make something. And there were things built into some of the, like all of the deals kind of looked different. Some of those deals were if the studio that bought the rights didn't have a film based on that property in production every X many years, and the rights would revert back. Some of them didn't have that clause built in. But that's what happened, right? You had characters like the X-Men and Fantastic Four and Daredevil go over to Fox. You had characters, obviously, like Spider-Man go over to Sony, and Spider-Man's kind of pantheon of characters. And then you had Universal bought the rights to a couple of characters, like the Incredible Hulk and Namor. And if you've been to Universal Studios in Orlando, Florida, they have a roller coaster called the Incredible Hulk, which is something they can do because the Hulk is a Universal property. This presented a little bit of complications for Marvel. Once
Universal
Marvel,
as in Universal Studios can use them, not as in anybody can use them.
Universal Studios, yeah. Comcast to be more stock market accurate. And so once Marvel kind of got their shit together, they were like, oh, man, some of our characters that we would love to do things with, we now can't do. And that sort of initiated a long process of trying to get as many of their characters sort of back under the umbrella, like to bring all their characters home.
Yeah, well, I mean, it started with utilizing characters that hadn't been sold off yet.
So like Iron Man
Blade,
and stuff like that.
Blade was the first iteration of that to hit the box office that was Marvel Studios, and really kind of kicked off this whole Marvel universe creation building, even though it's not technically part of the MCU. But yeah, and then they used the Avengers because they still owned all the Avengers, well, most of the Avengers. And yeah, from there, everybody pretty much knows the rest.
Yeah. I just want to look up here because I was pretty sure that 1998 Blade, okay. Distributed by New Line Cinema, but that was, so, and so it became this sort of slow process of getting characters back. Some of them they were able to get back because of those clauses we talked about, where, they kind of had to have something in production every X many years, and if they didn't, then properties just kind of reverted back. And they didn't have to make a film. The film never had to see the light of day.
Yeah.
They just had to be like, we're working on something. We got a team and they're...
Yeah. There's a great example of that where Universal owns Fantastic Four, or Fox.
Fox
owned Fantastic Four.
Did, yeah.
And, we got two crappy, well, one was better than the other kind of versions of the Fantastic Four. But there was a stretch of period there that was really long where we didn't get any Fantastic Four. And they actually had an almost fully completed film.
There's something kind of always in the
never saw light of day. Never saw any media exposure.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And so, and the process has come a long way. Buying Fox was definitely a big part of that, right? So the rights to Daredevil had already come back to Marvel through one of those clauses, right? They just Fox wasn't doing anything with Daredevil. Their window to do something with Daredevil kind of elapsed, and Marvel got the rights to that back. What they weren't letting go of was Fantastic Four and, of course, the X-Men. Because although Fox had no interest in continuity when it came to the X-Men films, even the poorly performing X-Men films were making money for Fox. That was a big franchise for Fox. And so that wasn't something they were going to give up anytime soon. So obviously purchasing Fox went a really long way. They got X-Men back. They got Fantastic Four back. The Spider-Man situation, Sony still owns Spider-Man. We've talked about that sort of on and off. Basically, the reason why Spider-Man is showing up in Marvel films is a very complex deal that's sort of been worked out between Sony and Marvel, which is probably like more than likely 99% a temporary deal. So a day will come where you stop seeing Spider-Man show up in the MCU.
It will continue to happen as long as they play friendly and get along. But there's always that chance that Sony will take their ball and go home.
Yeah. And Sony, make no mistake, Sony is not interested in selling. Sony is going to fight tooth and nail to not let the Spider-Man rights revert back to Marvel. And the interesting wild card here, though, has been Hulk. Because we do have a Hulk film in the MCU, in The Incredible Hulk. We have the Hulk showing up in many MCU films. So the two main characters that Comcast or Universal Studios owns is The Incredible Hulk and Namor. And Namor has also now shown up in the MCU and in Black Panther Wakanda Forever. So what gives? Well, basically the deal that exists between the sale that happened between Marvel and Comcast was Comcast owns the distribution rights. So Marvel is allowed to use the character Marvel can put Hulk in an Avengers film. Marvel can put Hulk in a Thor film. Marvel can't make a Hulk film. That's when things start to get sticky. Well, what gives? Because they did make a Hulk film. It was the second film in the MCU. Yes, but what happens is if you were to go pop in your DVD or your Blu-ray right now of Iron Man, you see at the start, it's Marvel and it's this and it's that. If you pop in your disc of The Incredible Hulk, you're going to see a Universal thing pop up at the beginning. The Marvel logo's still there because Marvel still helped, like they produced the film.
Well, it's a Marvel property.
It's a Marvel property.
Not owned by Marvel.
But it wasn't distributed by, it was distributed by Universal. So basically what that means is if, in the current climate, if Marvel turned around and they said, hey, we're going to make a Hulk film, they absolutely can do that. But then instantly, Universal goes, thanks. And they take the film and they do what they want with the film. Marvel has no say over what happens to that film. And I'll tell you right now, this is sort of a couple of people, I've seen a couple of people say this, and it's absolutely right. One of the things that Comcast owns, Comcast has their own streaming service in NBC Peacock. Stupidest name for a streaming service ever. But they have their own streaming service. And so what would happen if tomorrow Marvel wrapped on an Incredible Hulk film, Universal or Comcast would take that film and they would not release it theatrically. They would drop it on Peacock. 100%. Because to them, they're going, oh, we now have an MCU property that we can have exclusively on our streaming service. And if you want to watch this, if you want to stay up to date with this ever-growingly complex MCU, you got to be signed up to our streaming service. And Marvel's just not interested in that. I mean, Marvel would still make money out of this deal, but Kevin Feige's not in the business of making $100 million films and then having another company decide what happens with that film. So, when big old Bob Iger took over Disney, we knew that a bunch of things were going to change. One of the things that Disney owns the majority share in right now is a company called Hulu. It's a streaming service called Hulu. We don't have access to Hulu here in Canada. Our Hulu properties show up on our Disney Plus under the what's it called, Star
if we get
section.
them at all.
Yeah. But Disney doesn't own all of Hulu. A minority share is owned by Comcast. And there's a date coming up in the next little bit where something's going to happen. It's sort of this complicated legal business transaction thing. I don't fully understand it. But basically, there's a date where one company can force the other company to buy out their shares, or they can force a sale, or they can... It's just a predetermined date in the contract, the way something... whatever. And there's a lot of industry insiders and financial advisors and like stock experts who are predicting that big Bob Iger's plan is to sell off Hulu back to Comcast. And that in doing so, part of the deal, I mean, there's going to also be a money exchange because I think Hulu's worth a couple $2 billion. That part of this deal is going to be getting back the rights to Hulk and Namor, which would bring them home. and would create the potential to be able to make standalone films for these characters. I think it's possible that this is the plan, but I've seen a lot of people talking about this, and I agree 100%. I think the potential of this happening is less likely than it was 5 or 6 years ago. Because, let's look at the two characters that are in question. You have Namor. Well, Marvel's shown we can use Namor in our films. We can have him as an antagonist. We can have him as a character. We just can't make a standalone Namor film. I don't know that making a standalone Namor film is high up on Marvel's priorities right now. And I don't know that I'm all that interested, really. I enjoyed him in Black Panther: Wakanda Forever. I think they set up the character in a really great, intriguing, I'm all in, I like him kind of way. But I don't know that many people are asking for a standalone Namor film. Likewise with the Hulk. So 6 or 7 years ago, 5, 6, 7 years ago, you had Hulk. You had angry, raging, scary, out of control, we need contingencies for Hulk. Since then, we've neutered Hulk.
Yeah.
We've turned him into super smart Hulk. If you saw the end of She-Hulk, we have hanging out in backyard barbecues. Hey, I'll take another burger, Hulk.
Here's my son Scar.
And I just, you can't do, you do whatever you want. I have zero interest in a Professor Hulk film. Zero interest. I have no interest in seeing that Hulk on, in his own film, or really showing up in other people's film. I think we need to, if Hulk has a future in the MCU as a relevant, interesting character, something's got to happen where Bruce loses control, and where this merger that he's done becomes undone. And
man, you mustn't have seen the fan theory floating around that I've seen.
I haven't seen any fan theories. I have a theory of my own, so I'd be interested to see if it lines up. So, a story that there's two stories that fans have wanted for a long time regarding Hulk. One is Planet Hulk, which
pretty much got.
Which I don't think they're going to do, because they pretty much did that in Ragnarok. The other obviously being World War Hulk. And I think you can't do World War Hulk with Professor Hulk. You just can't. It'd be immensely stupid. Nobody's afraid of this Hulk. But if in the comics, I know that one of the things that kind of triggers or snowballs into the World War Hulk storyline is the death of Hulk's son. And so
it's the death. So it goes the Illuminati, who we kind of met a version of the Illuminati in Doctor Strange. The Illuminati feel Bruce's the Hulk is too dangerous to be left on Earth, so they put him in a spaceship and they send him off into space. He ends up landing on on this planet where he gets captured and he has to fight as a gladiator, very similar to what we got in the MCU. And as part of this happening, he kind of rallies a bunch of the gladiators and joins this rebellion and overthrows the empire ruling the planet, and then he now rules the planet, and he marries one of the gladiators who's this alien female, and then what ends up happening is the spaceship he crashed on explodes, destroying the entire planet. And he ends up taking himself. So he survives. Some of his gladiator buddies survive, and they come to Earth to rain hell on those who destroyed what he considered his home and his life that he created for himself. And that is World War Hulk. So that's a brief synopsis of.
So what I'm kind of wondering is if they're, I don't know that this is what they're setting up. I don't know that this is what they're planning. If they are, like the introduction of Hulk's son in She-Hulk and all this stuff, like if that's where we're going, if Bruce is going to experience some sort of tragic loss and it's going to cause him to snap, and as a result he reverts back to, puny Banner, then I'm game. Then I'm all for it. Give us a Hulk film. Make Hulk a big. I mean, it would be several years out at this point, anyways, because we know that we've got Secret Wars coming. We know that we've got Kang Dynasty coming. We know, there doesn't seem like there's room for that in the timeline anytime soon. But I don't know. What are your thoughts on this? Do you think that this is a move that Disney could make? Is Marvel even interested in getting the rights to these characters back, or are they kind of content just using them the way that they're able to use them right now?
I guess in terms of the Hulu sell-off to get rights to things, I don't think they would do it just for Namor and Hulk. I don't think that makes financial
No, like I said,
sense.
There's going to be a big dollar value put in as well.
Well, they're either going to Disney's either going to get more money with giving a slight discount for these characters, or they're going to ask for, okay, we're going to sell Hulu to you, but we want these characters and we want some of these other titles that are in your catalog.
Yeah, maybe.
Right. So they're either going to ask for for kind of subsidize those characters with money or with other franchises or characters to kind of flush out the Disney catalog of potential films that can make more money down the line.
Yeah, so I just looked it up, and Hulu is currently valued at $16 billion. And I'll tell you right now, Hulk and Namor are not worth that to Marvel.
Yeah. Is it worth it for them to get those characters? I mean, yeah. They've already established those are both now very recent and usable established characters in the MCU. So having full control of those characters to do what you want and is a valuable asset. Like Namor was just entered the MCU just a few months back, right? Like he's a very recent character in terms of the Marvel universe of comics. He's all over the place in terms of being an antagonist, a protagonist, an anti-hero, right? He fits into all kinds of groups, X-Men to the Avengers to the Fantastic Four, right? So he's a valuable character in terms of story and plot and development that they can draw from comics. And same with the Hulk. Hulk is still playing an active role in the MCU. So having full control of that to do what you want, that's a valuable thing, right? Now, I agree with you. I think people would have preferred to see a Hulk movie a few years back. In his current state, he's not as interesting because one of the things that makes Hulk interesting is this chaotic relationship between the Hulk and Bruce Banner, and that no longer exists. That being said, the fan theory that I seen rolling around was kind of what you were saying, is like the Hulk breaks free. But it wasn't necessarily triggered by anything, this theory. It was more based on information that we already have, not storylines like Planet Hulk and World War Hulk. And that is pre-Ragnarok, Thor Ragnarok, it was a chaotic relationship. Banner, if he was in control of his emotions, could suppress the Hulk, but things could easily cause the Hulk to break free, and the Hulk would be in control until something or somehow he calmed down and Bruce Banner can regain control. Very chaotic and kind of messy, but great for script writing and storytelling.
Yeah. Interesting. Yeah.
Then we get Ragnarok. Mm-hmm. And in Ragnarok, the Hulk is in full control all the time. Bruce cannot retake control. He's in the back seat full time until Thor somehow, I can't remember. It wasn't Thor specifically. It was a video of Natasha, I believe.
Yeah, recording on the Quinjet. I think.
snapped him out of it, and he was able to. But it was like several years of the Hulk being in control, right?
Yeah, it was like 3 years or something.
Yeah. So, and then we got through the rest of through the Infinity Saga. Hulk doesn't want to be in control because he feels like he's being used. And then we find out that Banner, over the 5-year blip, ended up merging the two identities.
Yeah.
So the theory picks up here that even though the identities are kind of merged, the best of, as Banner puts it, it's the best of both worlds. The brains of Banner, the strength of Hulk. Hulk is still in the back seat. He's not in control.
Yeah.
Essentially, Banner is doing what he's always done and is just using the Hulk when he needs it.
Yeah.
So the theory is kind of like it's kind of, we're getting the reverse of Thor Ragnarok, where now Banner's in control full time. Hulk never gets a say. And so, yeah, maybe they didn't. A couple of the theories kind of go into what could potentially snap it out, but I mean, it could be anything. It could be a death of a loved one. It could be something else. But yeah, Hulk takes control, and we get like a stronger, meaner version of Hulk we've never seen before.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That being said, the comics have been doing something for a few years now, which is really interesting. Where in the comics we've seen a bunch of what seem like different iterations of the Hulk, and it breaks down the comics. I haven't really read them, but I've seen some synopsis and some YouTube videos. Just give me a sec.
Are you dying? I think he's dying.
Throat's parching up. They essentially attribute that. If I hope I get this correct. So if I don't, you can correct me in comments. But all these different iterations of the Hulk are like multiple personalities,
right?
And the Hulk personality as a whole is part of who Bruce is as a defense mechanism, not necessarily as a cause of a gamma experimentation or bomb. Does that make sense? Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah. It just
so they could go down that route too, right? Like, trapped within Bruce Banner are all these versions of Hulk that he can access.
Yeah. Cool. I'm going to move on and introduce the next topic so you can get your life back on track here.
Please.
So, I've said it before and I'll say it again. The biggest piece of movie news in who knows how long has been that Hugh Jackman is coming back to play Wolverine one more time. Something that he's sworn up, down, left, right, center that he wasn't going to do. He was done. He'd hung up the claws. He was moving on. And someone online was saying, and I think this is absolutely right, that the only other news that comes close to how massive this is in the world of film and movie news in the last 20 years was that Disney was buying Star Wars and that there was more Star Wars coming. Like, that was massive. That was groundbreaking. That was holy shit. But this is right up there. This was crazy when this dropped. He's coming back, and we talked about he's planning on getting big for this. He's going to look like Wolverine. And one of the things that he said in an interview recently was that, in each film, each time he played Wolverine, he was a little bit bigger. He was a little more jacked than he was in the previous film. And he didn't see a reason in kind of breaking that tradition. So he was aiming for bigger. And that was really fascinating because one of the reasons that Hugh Jackman repeatedly gave for why he was kind of over it and didn't want to do it anymore was the regimen, was the workout regimen and the ridiculous diet that he had to be on. Like, I think he was just looking forward to being human again, like living his life and not having to do this crazy regimen. Well,
it's not even that. It wasn't even the regiment stuff. Like the shirtless scenes and stuff, he would dehydrate for like 24 hours before shooting these scenes.
So there's not an ounce of
dehydrated doing these intense action scenes, craving water. But that's how to get that definition.
That super lean look. Yeah. And so he's back in the swing and he's working away and he's eating away. And we just recently got a fun little nugget of information when Hugh Jackman revealed what his current dietary lifestyle looks like. And it's intense. It's intense. I don't know if you've seen this yet. Hugh Jackman is currently consuming 8,000 calories a day.
Yeah.
Because that's what you got to do.
If you're gonna, you need calories.
If you're going to bulk up, then you got to eat the food. Jackman's, I'm reading this straight from the Variety article, a quote from Jackman. Jackman's meals include black bass, 2,000 every day, 2,000 calories worth of black bass, 2,100 calories worth of salmon. So we're 4,100 calories in fish every day, which is a lot of fish to be eating. 2 chicken burgers, around 1,000 calories each, and 2 grass-fed sirloins, around 1,100 calories each. This means that Jackson is consuming over 8,000 calories a day now that he is getting bulked up for Wolverine. Jeez. I mean, to some people, that sounds like, I understand how on the surface it can sound like a dream come true. I get to eat that much every day? That's amazing, right? I don't have to count my calories to make sure I'm not going over. I don't have to try to stay in a deficit so that I can lose weight. There's nothing fun about this. Maybe day one, it sounds kind of fun, but it's literally every 45 minutes you got to be eating again.
It's like scientific bodybuilding. He's got probably a team of people just looking at his diet, and he's got to eat very specific things to stay one, healthy while he's doing this, but also 2, to make sure that he's getting enough calories to supply that energy that his muscles need because they're growing so fast.
Yeah. And so, and then I'm also just thinking if I were to eat what we just listed, if I were to eat 8,000 calories, and that's all meat, by the way, like this I didn't list, and then he's also having broccoli, and he's having carrots, and he's having...
there's some veg and stuff in those meals.
There'd be a little bit, but it's steamed. It's like, it's not fried. There's no salt on it. There's no, like, it's as raw and organic as you can possibly get. If I were to eat that, I'm laying in bed for the rest of the day. I'm sitting on the couch with my pants undone, watching Netflix. I'm probably even feeling too full to like play video games. Like, I'm not even, like, I just kind of need to lay there, not hit the gym. Like, that's the other part of this that is like, he's eating nonstop, he's eating ridiculous amounts, and then he's going and doing sit-ups, and he's bench pressing, and he's it's just, I don't know, it's absurd. I'm grateful. I am all kinds of grateful that Jackman is willing to do this in order to be the beautiful specimen that Wolverine is, or has, that Hugh Jackman's Wolverine has been. But good Lord, I don't know. You hear this, like, what are your thoughts? Like, does any part of this sound enjoyable to you? Is it remotely appealing? Is this a sensible thing for Jackman to be doing to get ready for this role? Is it like, I don't know. I just don't even know where to go with something like this.
Well, I mean, this is his job. So if my job was to go to the gym and work out and eat a meal somebody's planned for me, I mean, I could probably do that.
Yeah. Yeah.
It would probably get old pretty quick. But I think that just kind of, part of that speaks to kind of the intensity and dedication that some of these actors have.
Well, keep in mind, he's doing this at 54 years of age as well.
Yeah. Well, that's kind of what I'm saying, right? Like,
yeah.
There's an intensity and a dedication to create your vision in real, bring your vision to life.
Yeah.
Right. Like, he's got lots of time, I assume, to get there too. Like, he wasn't dad bod flabby when he started this.
No.
Right. So, does he have far to go? Probably, but he already had a good head start. He already was probably, like, after like the last Wolverine movie he did, he probably very much so kept up with some of these healthy things, like working out regularly and eating well, right? Because as much as people want to, like, I'm a pretty healthy guy, and I like staying active and eating well, but it's expensive to do those things.
It is.
It's not cheap. There are cheap ways to do it, but like when you're in a position like a movie star is, you've got all kinds of money to throw at it to stay there. And so when you're someone like Ryan Reynolds or any of the Avengers, like actors, like, you want to stay there or relatively close to that spot. You might not necessarily want to be on peak all the time. You don't necessarily have to be there all the time, but you want to stay healthy so that you can continue to get the roles that you want that are kind of more action based or something, if that's what you're looking for.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, no, absolutely. I do know that he, like, coming into doing this, he's been touring with his stage show. He goes around and he sings and performs and stuff like that. and that he was having to. He had like a dietary coach traveling with him, because on average, just like moving around the stage and doing some of the choreography and stuff that I guess he does during his show, he was burning 1,500 calories a night doing the show. And so he was already like having to eat a lot just to not wither away. Because if you're only eating, your 2,500 daily calories, and you're burning 1,500 of that away, like you can't survive. You can only survive on 1,000 calories a day for so long before there's not much left of you, before you don't have the energy to get up and go do tomorrow night's show. So, no, it's nuts. I'm excited. I think it should be an exciting thing, knowing that that the Wolverine that we're going to get is going to look like this ripped, lean. He's going to be the Wolverine that we know and love. And as much as it pains me to say this, and I don't even. There's no question. I know that he's done after this. I hope he's done. Like he's earned it. Like just. I would watch another. He's played the role for 20 years, 20 plus years. I would gladly watch him for another 20. I don't care. 74-year-old Hugh Jackman, whatever. Bring it on. But the man's earned it. Like
a younger Wolverine would definitely fare better in the MCU.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely.
You're playing him.
Yeah, no worries. Did you give it a did there? No worries. He's Australian. No, didn't land. Okay,
because he's an Aussie.
Yeah. Moving on. So we have Daredevil. We're talking about Daredevil. We're talking about Daredevil returning to the MCU, or having returned to Marvel. And one of the things that Marvel did that was kind of like weird and confusing, but not really, but sort of was for a while, was they had their what's now referred to as the Defenders saga, which was a Netflix-based collection of shows that were running sort of simultaneously with the MCU, but not really connected in any way. Like there was no real hard, like, the time that the aliens invaded New York and, blah, blah, blah. There may have been the weird, odd little wink, nudge, poke at the audience, Easter egg to kind of be like, maybe it is, maybe it isn't. But for the most part, it was kind of just accepted, like, this is its own thing. It's kind of happening off on its own.
I find it sad that you look at it that way. That's glass half empty. I've always looked at it, continue to look at it, and will always look at it as being it's part of the MCU.
Okay. So anyways, they definitely did less to try to tie it in than Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. did. But even after a while, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. was like, if this is connected, is pretty loosely connected. Like it was, every time there'd be a big MCU film or something would happen in the next episode of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., you'd get a nod at it. There'd be like a newspaper article or some news thing happening on the TV in the background that was like, the cleanup in New York and blah, blah, blah. But as that show went on, those became less and less, and it just kind of became its own. It just became difficult to try to maintain a continuity, I think, because, you have this show, you got to knock out so many episodes and try to keep it going. And but the Defender saga consisted of Daredevil, started with Daredevil. Then I believe the next one we got was Jessica Jones.
Correct.
Then we had Luke Cage. Or was Iron Fist next?
I think it was. Well, Daredevil had 3 seasons.
Yeah, but I mean, just in terms of them being introduced.
Yeah. Yeah, well, yes, in that order of just introduction and not of which seasons came first or second.
Yeah.
Yes,
no.
that is the order. Yeah.
Yeah.
Iron Fist was last.
Yeah, so Luke Cage, then Iron Fist, and then we had the Defenders. And that was all it was like this weird time where the MCU seemed, they kind of had a little bit of like Star Warsism going on, where it was like, hey, this is what we're going to do, and these are the movies we're going to make, and then stuff started kind of change. Like, we were going to get an Inhumans movie for the longest time, and then we didn't get an Inhumans movie. We got a really bullshit, awful Inhumans show that was kind of sort of tied into this, but not really tied into that, and then did get a callback in Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness when we had the same character or the same actor playing Black Bolt, and so it was like, oh, okay, so like that is tied in, connected, or is it not? Like, what's
in terms of the Netflix series, we did miss one character, but I think you're leading into that. So,
and we had the Punisher. Yeah, we had Punisher had his own series.
He was introduced in Daredevil season 2
Daredevil.
and then got his own show.
And so it was announced a little while ago. So it was like, that was the big thing, right? Is that you can view it as connected, but it was never concrete that, if the MCU is going to bring Daredevil over and make it like MCU proper, is it going to be the same Daredevil? Are we going to get Charlie Cox? Are they going to recast and do their own? Like, that was always kind of up in the air.
It was always unclear because, and it was unclear on purpose, I think, because the movies were always dealing with kind of larger global kind of threats. And the shows were always like, these are like street level problems, individual neighborhood problems.
Yeah. Yeah. And so that all kind of changed a little bit for us when, well, it didn't, but it still wasn't concrete, and it's still not. And we'll get into why. But all of a sudden there was like, ooh, what does this mean when Charlie Cox showed up as Matt Murdock in Spider-Man No Way Home? So we got that.
Very cool fashion.
Very cool fashion. And then we got Fisk showing up in Hawkeye. Yep. And it was the same actor whose name is escaping, Vincent D'Onofrio. Yeah. And so that was, but he seemed different. Like it was kind of the same Kingpin, but a little more comic booky and a little more like it was the same actor, but even D'Onofrio in a couple of interviews said like this is the same Kingpin, but it isn't. Like he said, he would say things like it's great to be back playing the character again, and getting to experiment with this new take on him. And so stuff like that was kind of leaving us all out in the open. Like, okay, is it just fun that you're casting the same people in this new actual MCU version now? Or is this the same Kingpin? Like, does that Kingpin have those memories? Are we messing around with multiverse stuff where it's not technically the same Kingpin, but that other stuff could still have happened in a different universe? Like, what's happening? And then Charlie Cox was announced that we were going to get a Deadpool series, that we're going to get a Daredevil series, Daredevil Reborn, coming to Netflix, coming to Disney Plus, 18 episodes. But in interviews, Charlie Cox would talk about, because it's been everyone's question, is this the same Daredevil? Or is this a different version of Daredevil? And Charlie Cox has also been, it seems like, intentionally ambiguous about it, has not really given a yes or no in either direction. And Kevin Feige's been pretty ambiguous about it and is not giving a concrete yes or no to us in either direction. And so, and even the version, so then Daredevil showed up in a couple of episodes of She-Hulk. And yes, it was Charlie Cox, but it it just not just the costume, but it kind of felt different. Like this was a Daredevil that was kind of cracking wise a little bit more, and didn't like personality wise felt a little bit different than the Daredevil that we know from the Netflix show. So that question is continued. Is it the same? Is it not? Well, we know a couple of new things now. Number one, we know that John Bernthal, who played the Punisher in the Netflix Defender saga, is going to make an appearance. We don't know how big, we don't know how small, but is going to make an appearance in the Daredevil show. So he is now coming over to the MCU as well.
He's a good Punisher too. So
he's a good Punisher. News. Now this will be, make no mistake, whether it's supposed to be the same Daredevil or not, or I'm tripping all over my mouth here. Whether it's supposed to be the same Punisher or not, make no mistake, if you are going into this new Daredevil series hoping and expecting to see the same type of Punisher that you saw in the Netflix series, you are going to be sorely disappointed. Because that Punisher show, as it should have been, and we're all glad it was very much a TVMA mature. Yeah, it was a brutal show. It's the Punisher. Yeah. That's not going to be what you're getting on this Disney Plus Marvel MCU Daredevil show. It just isn't. Now,
is that confirmed, or is that your theory?
It's confirmed in the sense that Kevin Feige has said repeatedly that the MCU, that Marvel is not going to make R-rated content, with the exception of Deadpool. That Deadpool is their one exception. And so any of their TV properties, any of their movie properties will never be more than a PG-13. Now, you can get away with a lot with a PG-13. You can do a lot of stuff and still maintain a PG-13
Punisher
rating.
Can still like break bones and stuff like that.
But you're not going to see him pulling out people's entrails.
It's like amount of blood and amount of language that are the big
language is a big one, and
nudity.
And then just nudity, and then just a certain level of gore.
Are like the big thing.
Yeah, you can only show so much blood.
Blood, language, and nudity are like the big three that bump something to R.
Yeah. Another piece of news that we have.
We're moving on already?
Karen and Foggy. No, Daredevil related. Karen and Foggy will not be appearing in this new Disney Plus show. Furthermore, they are recasting the role of Vanessa Fisk. Which just continues to keep this show and this iteration and what's happening in this weird limbo of, is it the same? Is it not? I mean, once the show drops, I'm sure we'll get a concrete answer, right? Either Charlie Cox is going to come out and say it, Kevin Feige will come out and say it, or there will be something that happens in the show in the first episode that references some sort of major event or whatever from the Netflix series, and we'll go, oh, okay, so this is the same. It's the same one. But it's just kind of like this weird limbo right now. Another interesting thing, though, about the Punisher coming in, which several people have started debating on the internet, and I don't. It's a fascinating thing to ponder. Since we last saw Punisher show up in the Netflix series, there are some less than desirable groups in our world who are violent groups, who are just not good people. And I'm not going to name them because I don't want to give them any, but it's not even worth mentioning their name. Who have sort of adopted and hijacked the Punisher logo. That's the logo that they use to incite their violence and do whatever. And we've seen sort of some ramifications of this show up. They kind of retrofitted, the Punisher got a new chest emblem in the comics. I think it looks ridiculous. I don't like it at all. But I understand why. Like, I get it. That's not the design I would have picked. Do you think when John Bernthal shows up in the Daredevil Disney Plus show, are they going to even bother putting a skull on his chest? And if they do, is it going to be the Punisher logo that we're familiar with? Is it going to be an updated version that they kind of change? Like, it's this sort of like weird social political line that I feel Disney has to walk right now.
Yeah, I don't know. I think my opinion would be just roll with it. Like, use the classic logo. People are going to do with take and use things for their own means, one way or the other. There's not much you can do about it. And I don't think changing the logo is going to have any positive or negative effects on a situation like what you're talking about.
Right. No, I don't think that them using it is going to incite further violence. I just wonder if it's like sort of a PR thing.
Changing it isn't going to reduce that violence. Just, like.
No, but I just wonder if that's something that Disney wants to distance themselves from. But
right.
Yeah, it's hard to say.
I mean, yeah, there's that potential too.
But you hear all these casting things.
You can do the Punisher without the logo too. Like,
absolutely,
the logo's cool and it's
cool, but it's not necessary.
To the Punisher. Yeah, but it's not necessary. Yeah,
it's not like the Bat logo on a bat suit.
The character of the Punisher really doesn't, even though like he wears it all the time in comics and
he doesn't have a costume.
They've utilized it in all forms of media that we've seen for TV and movies. Realistically, the character of the Punisher isn't. It's not too far of a stretch for him to not come up with a logo for himself because he wants to remain kind of more cloak and dagger and an unknown.
I mean, Frank Castle is always the Punisher, right?
Yeah.
Whereas, like, if Bruce Wayne shows up and he doesn't have a suit on, then he's Bruce Wayne. He's not Batman. He doesn't have his gadgets with him. He doesn't have, he's not able to like instill fear and use that image of the Bat. Whereas if Frank Castle shows up with a knife, an assault rifle, in a t-shirt and jeans, he's still Frank Castle. He's still the Punisher.
Yeah.
And he's still going to annihilate you.
It's like, aside from motive and John Wick and Frank Castle are the same character. And John Wick doesn't have a logo.
John Wick's just been out of shape because of his dog.
He has a synonym that the world knows him by, that the underground world, like, they know him as the Boogeyman. Right? And Frank Castle is known as, like, he has a pseudonym. Punisher.
Yeah.
Which strikes, but he doesn't need a logo. John Wick doesn't have a logo.
Doesn't have a costume, right?
Yeah.
Realistically.
Exactly.
Yeah. Cool.
But
you hear these casting things. Are you excited that John Bernthal's coming back? Are you bummed out about Foggy and Karen? What are your thoughts on the recasting of Vanessa? And does any of this give any sort of credence to whether or not this is the same? I think where I'm falling right now is like, if it turns out it's not the same, if it's not a direct continuation of the Defender saga, then I'm okay just going, okay, well, it's multiverse, right? So it's fine. It's just a different, like, all that happened, but it happened on a different Earth.
So I think that what we've been hearing from actors and Feige and all this stuff about whether it is or isn't connected or in the same universe. I think it's all smoke and water. Sorry, smoke and mirrors is the phrase.
Yeah, I don't know what that is, but
water can be reflective.
It sure can. Yep.
Yeah, I think they're going to connect them. I think recasting is just that. They're just recasting the character so the character can continue in the story. The fact that Karen and Foggy aren't around. It's been a while since I've seen the third episode of Daredevil, but if I remember correctly, like he's already distanced himself from them.
Yeah, kind of one of those.
Correctly.
Yeah, protect the ones I love.
Yeah, so yeah, he's already kind of done what Peter Parker has done in the MCU. He's distanced himself from those people. So yeah, I mean, I think they're connected. I think they're gonna tie them together as neatly as possible, and I think they're gonna recast where they need to, and they should. And I see should because they need to and should recast Iron Fist because that actor did not do that part justice at all.
No, it was really bad writing too. Like that show had so many issues.
Like, okay, we talk about commitment and dedication to the craft with Hugh Jackman, right? Charlie Cox, same thing. Commitment and dedication. Like the guy walked around with a blindfold on for months to get a sense of what it was like to be blind so that he could play the part better. He learned martial arts so he could play. The guy who played Iron Fist, he didn't know any martial arts. He didn't bother to learn any martial arts. So all of that, the action scenes with him felt lame because he sucked, right? Like he didn't understand what he was doing. That's why that series, out of all of the Defender series, was the worst received because he didn't have any dedication to his craft in learning the part and becoming the character of Iron Fist.
Right.
So, yeah. They need to recast that character. Yeah. So maybe that's why they're recasting Vanessa, because they want somebody different, or the actress doesn't want to come back or wants more money, so they're kind of doing what they did with Rhodey, but like, yeah, I think they're connected. I think it's all smoke and mirrors right now. Yeah. If it's not, if I'm wrong, I'm still going to be happy because they're bringing back the actors that really made that series work.
Right.
Vincent D'Onofrio as Kingpin, phenomenal. Charlie Cox as Daredevil, amazing, right? John Bernthal as the Punisher, knocks it out of the park. Yes, give him an extended contract for 20 years, right? Like as long as he wants to play him, let him play him. So yeah. Either way, I'm happy. I'll be happier if it's smoke and mirrors what they're doing and they connect them.
Yeah.
And I don't think it would be difficult to.
I don't think it'd be difficult at all either. No. Yeah. Cool. All right, moving on. Carl's least favorite thing, for those who don't know, is watching movie trailers. Like Carl just like it's, although I feel like there are some movie trailers. Your least favorite thing is watching movie trailers for films that you're excited for, you're planning on going and watching.
Yeah.
Right? If I send you a trailer tomorrow, like when I sent you a trailer for the Barbie movie, you're like, I mean, I don't want to watch this because I just don't care, but I'm not.
Yeah.
It doesn't pain me to watch it. I'm not like worried about spoilers. So I feel like this one was a little bit okay for you. One of the big things that happened during the Oscars was that they dropped the trailer for The Little Mermaid, the live action Little Mermaid. We've gotten some teasers up until this point. We got like the cackle from Ursula. We got a couple of bars of Ariel singing, but we didn't really have like a full proper story trailer that we know what the story is, but a trailer that would would explain the story to you if you didn't know the story of The Little Mermaid. So the trailer dropped. Listen, I've said it a billion times. The purpose of a trailer is to take your excitement level from wherever it is and bump it up a couple notches, right? Maybe you're not interested at all. Now you are a little bit. Maybe you were a little bit. And now you're like, oh man, like this looks great. I sat down, I watched this trailer. For me, it's a successful trailer. It took me from seeing these teasers and not really getting enough to kind of know what I'm feeling about it. Like there wasn't enough to sort of make anything out of and go, okay, like, all right, I have a feel for this and I can kind of see what it's going to be like, what the scale of it is, what the production value feels like. This trailer rectified all that for me. We get singing. We get to see King Triton in Javier Bardem's character. We see, I don't know the names. Is it James or Charles or whoever the people are going to crucify me here. Who's the love interest in The Little Mermaid? The little
string him up
mermaid prince is Prince Eric. Yeah, it's Eric. So we get to see Prince Eric. We get to see Sebastian. We get to see Flounder. We get to see all of these characters, and we get to see. We get to kind of get a feel. We see the ship sinking and the flames and tossed into the water and Ariel getting her feet and showing up on land and we get a full face shot of Ursula and Ursula working her voodoo and I like I said I would say before I was kind of at like a 5. I was at like I don't know. I mean I'm looking forward to seeing it. I hope it's good, but I don't have enough to go on to know whether I think it's going to be good or not. Now I'm at like a 7.5. I'm not jumping up and down. There's other movies coming that I'm more excited about, but I am definitely excited. And I'm looking at this trailer going, for a company like Disney, whose live action adaptations have been very hit or miss. They have. It's been a coin toss on whether or not it's going to be. Some of them have been pretty phenomenal, and some of them have been utter trash. I think this is going to be one of the good ones. I really do. I sent you the trailer. You watched it. I hope. What did you think of this trailer? And did it do anything for your interest level or your confidence in how good of a film this is going to be?
I'm watching it now.
You didn't watch it?
No, we got all tied up. I was going to watch it and then we got all tied up in discussion about something else and I ended up going to work and
I sent you the link for it like 3 days ago.
I mean, I'll say this, and I said this during one of the teasers we talked about. Yeah, it looks really good. Specifically, when they're underwater, they got their tails, they're swimming around. It looks like the characters are supposed to be in the water and they live there.
Yeah.
Unlike with Black Panther.
Mm-hmm.
It was very unnatural and didn't look right at all. It looks good. Am I excited about it? It's a live action remake. If you've been listening to this me talk on this news show long enough, you know how I feel about these live action remakes. I'm not holding my breath that it'll be good. I could care less. If it ends up being good, I'll probably end up watching it during a family movie night with my family and we'll probably get some enjoyment out of it, but it's not something I'm dying to watch even after watching the trailer just a second ago.
Huh. Interesting.
But yeah, it does look good. It looks like they're doing the show, the movie original movie kind of justice.
One interesting thing you see in the trailer that might be a sticking point for some people is the artistic approach that they've taken to Sebastian and Flounder, by making them look very
kind of flat,
normal. Like they look like Sebastian looks like a real crab, and Flounder looks like a actual flounder. And that was a criticism. They seem to flip-flop on that, because that was a criticism that a lot of people had with the Lion King, was that it was good, but they kind of wished that the lions' faces had just a little bit more humanistic expression in them to kind of capture some of that emotion and the magic from the cartoon. And then we see other ones where, in the most recent Pinocchio one, like Pinocchio seemed like he was actually physically there, intangible, but eerily animated at the same time. Like he looked exactly like he does in the cartoon, which did not save that film from being fired in a bag of flaming dog. Anyways, so I don't know. That might be the one sticking point, is that Flounder and Sebastian look too generic. They don't have their kind of Sebastian and Flounder look.
Sebastian's eyes look and mouth are very kind of not crabby.
Yeah, but they're still
like
not.
They look off.
Yeah.
Flounder is not a flounder, though. I googled flounder, and flounder is like a flat fish that sits at the bottom of the ocean and it's kind of brown.
Oh, interesting. Oh, okay.
If I kind of I'm looking for a screenshot here. So
what kind of fish is flounder? Flounder is meant to be an angelfish, some type of angelfish.
More similar to that one-eyed fish from Finding Nemo in the tank.
Mm-hmm.
I think is what it's supposed to kind of look like.
Yeah,
which is a very big kind of artistic interpretation of the character, because in the animated one he's kind of fat and chubby, if I remember right. Is he not?
He is, and I'm about to send you an image. Anyone, if you type in Flounder, Little Mermaid, you look this up. This image surfaced online months ago, and I assumed it was real. I think a lot of people assumed it was real. It's a little unsettling looking, but it kind of had more of that. I just sent it. It kind of had more of that live action, but staying true to what the cartoon is feel to it. And so I was very surprised. My assumption was that was what they were doing.
Creepy.
It is creepy. It is creepy. It would need a little bit of adjustment, but I assumed they were going to go more that route than just like scary, straight up fish.
Yeah.
So
that's what I would have envisioned as well. But they're going with that kind of more surreal look, I guess.
Yeah.
But
anyways, interesting. Okay, moving on. Just pull up my list here. What are we talking about? What's going on? Bob Odenkirk, who a lot of people know from Breaking Bad. He then went on to do Better Call Saul. And he was in Nobody, which was it wasn't like a John Wick spinoff, but it was from the same people who did John Wick, and it was very John Wick-esque. I really liked Nobody. I thought Nobody was fantastic, and Bob Odenkirk was like the perfect guy for that role. Just hopped on his socials the other day to confirm some rumors that have been floating around. Every so often, there's rumors floating around that you don't bother putting any stock in because they sound so ridiculous, and it just doesn't make any sense to anybody. And so you go, oh, okay, this is like some stupid internet rumor.
But when Bob Odenkirk says it,
Bob Odenkirk hopped online the other day and said, no, this is 100% true. This movie's coming. we've already shot it, and we shot it like under the radar apparently because nobody really knew this was happening, and he says he did his best to pour his heart and soul into all of his lines. Bob Odenkirk is starring in a remake of The Room. Now, for those right now who are saying, I don't know what The Room is, that
did
might
not
be
hit
a good
her.
thing.
I did not.
It might be a good thing that you don't know what The Room. You're not missing out on any like fantastic cinema. Tommy Wiseau's The Room, which is this comically horrible, like it's so bad.
If Hollywood's peak movies are considered A-list and things like Sharknado are B movies, The Room is probably somewhere down the D, E, maybe even F tier class of movies.
Oh, I was gonna go Z, and then I didn't think that was low enough, so I was gonna go like it's like ZZ. Like we had to go into a second iteration of the alphabet. It's like a self-funded romance drama film, but it's weird, and there's a lot of
piece
weird
of
things
movie
about
men kind of trivia here. I'm pretty sure this is the first movie that you and I have ever, like, you and I have watched lots of movies together, but I'm pretty sure it's the first movie you and or I have both watched with Pete. The first movie we ever watched with him.
I think so. I don't know if this is the first movie I ever watched with Pete. It was either this was first and then I showed him Back to the Future, or vice versa. But yeah, he showed us this like before there was even a Movie Men podcast, before there was
yeah,
and I was like
buddies, and he was like, "You guys haven't seen The Room? Okay, you got to come over. We'll watch The Room, and then we'll watch the spoof remake of The Room."
And now that I'm thinking about it, it's a little bizarre to me that I proceeded to embark on a film-based podcast with this gentleman. Because he was like excited about The Room. And so there's this movie called The Room, and it's horrible. And then there was a Dave Franco made with his brother James, and I think Seth Rogen's in it. Yeah. They made a film called The Disaster Artist, which is a story about the making of The Room. Yeah.
It's kind of a spoof. It's kind of a not a documentary, a
mockumentary?
Mockumentary. No, what do you call it when we talked about like a
biopic?
The Elvis, like a biopic. It's kind of like a biopic in some ways.
Yeah. And so it's bizarre. And so we're getting a remake with Bob Odenkirk playing Tommy Wiseau's character, playing the I didn't do it, I did not guy. And when I told Pete this news, he was like, well, why Bob Odenkirk? And I'm like, because why the hell not? I was like, if you're remaking The Room, you can literally cast it's not, there's no who would be perfect for this role. Yeah, it's just like make Arnold Schwarzenegger his love interest for all I care. The film, I don't know. But then I said to Pete, it dawned on me, what if it's good? Like, what if
that was what I was thinking. What if they took the script, rewrote it?
But what if the script, what if they don't? What if the script is exactly the same and just better direction and real actors and better like cinematography and whatever, like better production value. But what if they take the script and the script is basically untouched and they make this movie and it's good?
No, you can't do this, it be good, and not rewrite the script. You have to make alterations to the script for this to be a cohesive story.
But then, I mean, that also raises the question, do they want it to be good? Like, what is the goal? I can't imagine the goal is to be like, to create a masterful piece of cinema. Like, so now, and then I said to Pete, I was like, so this is going to come out, and then I feel like we need a follow-up to The Disaster Artist, because we need to understand how this film being made came about. Like, that's a story I need to hear. Like,
I'm
who's
looking
funding
at
this?
an image with Bob Odenkirk, and I don't know who this guy is, but it looks like a rooftop scene from The Room.
Yeah, which is that's the scene I didn't.
Yeah, well, him and his buddy's holding the football.
I see the image. I think that's...
I don't know if that's real or not, but man, yeah. Oh
my goodness. Oh my goodness. Anyways, what are your thoughts on them remaking The Room with Bob Odenkirk?
Yeah. The Disaster Artist was fun to watch. The Room it wasn't boring. I would say it was fun to watch because if you know what you're going into watching The Room is hilarious. Like, get a bunch of friends. If you're interested in watching The Room, don't watch it alone. You need to go into it knowing it's an event, knowing that you're going to talk over the film with your friends about how stupid it is and how funny the lines are and how ridiculous what you're seeing on screen is. You got to get like 3 or 4 friends and roast the film as you're watching it to really enjoy it. And that's what we did. And it was a lot of fun to watch it, but it is not a good film. So I don't know. Oh man. If they make it like shot for shot, word for word, the same, it will be fun to do the same thing again. I think, to kind of watch it with a bunch of people and roast it while watching. But to watch it, sit down and watch it as a serious film like I would something on my own. Oh man, I don't know. It's just the prospect of it is ludicrous. Like, of all the films to remake.
Yeah. Like, it's never even been a question. Like, I don't think anyone's ever been like, I wonder when they're going to remake The Room.
Yes, exactly. Like, we've talked before about about films that are being remade or being made in general, and we're just have asked the question, but why? Who cares? And this is like the top of that list. Who wanted this? Oh, I don't know.
But it's like, it's so far up on that but why list that it starts to make sense.
That's the ridiculousness of it, right? Like,
you start to go, of course you remake The Room. Of course you tap into this. But what's amazing about it is now Tommy Wiseau has probably got to hold the record for the most money made off a franchise that he only made one film for. Because they would have had to have paid him to make The Disaster Artist. He would have gotten a good payday from that. And they'd have to send him a nice juicy check to make The Room remake.
You know what? Like, the more we talk about this, it feels like it's kind of like if you're a film student, this is a film the teacher makes you watch to know what not to do. Right? Like, it's what's the word I'm looking for? It's like a litmus test for quality or something like that. So you've Bob Odenkirk is like, he's a good actor.
He's a fantastic actor.
Yeah. So for him to like be part of this kind of remake, what I'm about to propose is like, it'll never happen, but it would be so amazing. This film should be one of those films that's like constantly remade like every other year with whole new cast, all new directors, but like they don't change the script at all. They don't everything shot for shot, word for word is the same, but with different actors.
So make it the new Christmas Carol, except don't have any any like adaptation.
No
Just make
adaptation.
it
Just like
the same.
let's see how good of an actor Bob Odenkirk is when you put him in the absolute worst role. Let's see how good of an actor. Let me give me a name of a good actor. Titanic. What's his name?
Leo.
Let's see how good of an actor Leonardo DiCaprio is when he has to play Tommy Wiseau's character in The Room. Right? Like this is the litmus test for, are you a good actor?
I love it.
Is Tom Cruise a good actor? Let's see how he does when he plays the lead in The Room.
And what I love about this idea is this role was made for Nicolas Cage.
Yes, it totally was. Yeah, you would kill it.
Absolutely made for him. Like,
oh man,
fantastic!
I love this idea. I want this to be a thing now. Every year, every other year, all brand new cast, same movie, down to a T, and for shot, line for line.
And this is coming from the guy who doesn't like remakes. So there you go.
But it's like, it's a remake, but it's like the litmus test for an actor.
Yeah, transcends
how good can you portray this horrible role?
That's amazing. Okay, we got to move on. So, Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1 is right around the corner. Pete and I are barreling forward in our reviews of the Mission Impossible films to get ourselves ready for it. It's coming out soon. And as is the case with any film that's coming out soon, any big film anyways, they've started doing some test screenings. They stick it in front of some critics and in front of some average Joes and make them sign their life away in NDAs so that they can't possibly utter a word of it to anyone, or Tom Cruise personally shows up and kills you. And the reviews are fantastic. Like, everyone who has seen this is reporting back saying it is phenomenal. It is nonstop action. There's no filler. It's just beat after beat after beat, and it's amazing. But what's interesting, and this is a test screening, which means, and quite often, a film that is being test screened is not the final version of the film, right? Because they're getting some feedback and seeing how it performs in front of audiences.
Stuff can still hit the editing room floor.
Yeah, but we are also only like several months out from this movie dropping, which means any changes they're going to make at this point, like barring delaying the film massively, are going to be minimal. Like, you can't rework storylines. You can't rework the entire film. You just can kind of like adjust the pacing a little bit and play with some of the edits.
Yeah, it's a little too late for reshoots.
This film, this test screening, is clocking in at just a hair over 3.5 hours long.
Holy crap. And so I just Googled Mission Impossible. It's only one of two. There's a second
It's part 1 of 2, yeah.
Oh man. That's ridiculous.
Now, that time, like I said, that time can come down. That time can come down, but not by an hour. Like, they're not going to cut an hour out of this. Right? I think, like, we would all sort of suspect, like, okay, like, Mission Impossible film, it's going to kind of cap out around 2.5 hours, probably be a little bit less than that. If it's a little over 3.5 hours now, this is going to be a long movie. Like, even if they cut some stuff from this test screening, they're not cutting an hour of this film. Not this late in the game. There's just no way.
That just seems... For an action spy flick, that is too long.
I agree. And I'm normally the type of, like, give me a nice long movie, whatever, man. Like, whatever.
I like a nice long movie when it's done well and it kind of warrants it, or at least it continues to be entertaining all the way through.
Which, but that's the thing that we're hearing from this test screening.
Real quick. Hang on, I got 2 points here real quick, right? Like, one, you can tell an amazing, compelling, entertaining story that's under 2 hours easily, and we've seen that. The most recent thing movie that I would say shows that really well is Werewolf by Night.
Yeah.
Right. Great story, really compelling, nice and short and sweet. Right. You can have a longer film that just feels like you can cut it and it'll be better. Great example, Ant-Man. Go back, listen to our Ant-Man episode. You'll know what I'm talking about, right? Like, so I just feel like, man, to really pack in over 3 hours of entertainment is a stretch for a film like this.
Yeah.
I don't know. I haven't seen the last two Mission Impossibles. The last one I seen was Ghost Protocol.
Okay.
But, from what I know of the first 4 films, I mean, 2 hours is a good run length. Why does it need to be longer?
Yeah. And in a film that's already part 1 and part 2, which part 1 of part 2 is not, like, it was shot that way. So it, like, that's just a marketing ploy. That's all it is.
Yeah.
Right. It's just a marketing ploy to title it that.
Yeah. If a James Bond movie doesn't need to go over 2 hours and have a part 1, part 2, there's no reason Mission Impossible does.
Yeah. I don't know, man. I haven't told Pete that yet. He's excited for Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning part 1. He's not going to be jazzed when he hears the runtime. He's not going to be jazzed. That's like, at that point, we're getting into territory where you need to have, like, in the theater, you need to have an intermission.
Yeah. Well, like, the Endgame was what? It was close to 3 hours, wasn't it?
Endgame was just a little over, I think.
Yeah.
Endgame.
So I would argue if Endgame is 3 hours plus.
3 hours and 2 minutes.
Endgame has reason to be that long. Reasons being, you've got a lot of characters to do some character development and tell story with. Right? Like, Mission Impossible doesn't have an entire universe worth of characters built up over the last 20 years. Like, it's got characters built up since 1996, but really the only character that matters is Ethan Hunt. Nobody cares about any of the other characters as much. Right? Simon Pegg's character, you give him some screen time, character development, but nobody cares. What's Ethan Hunt doing?
Mm-hmm.
Ethan Hunt doesn't need 3 hours of screen time to tell his story. Right? Avengers, you've got Captain America, you've got Thor, you've got Iron Man, you've got the Guardians of the Galaxy, you've got Thanos, you got like, it's not, you're comparing the run length of these two films is comparing apples to stones, right? They're completely different.
Mm-hmm.
It's too long.
No, I agree. And I normally, like I said, I'm all over long movies, but this is that's a lot for Mission Impossible. Yeah. Harry Potter. We've been talking a lot about Harry Potter. We've been talking about how they seem to be axing the Fantastic Beasts franchise. We've sort of speculated on where you go and what do you do, and this is Harry Potter is an IP that you can't just leave on your shelf to collect dust. You're a fool if you do it. It's one of the biggest film franchises of all time. And a huge pop culture footprint, like a massive pop culture footprint.
It's up there with Star Wars and Star Trek. And
so there was a recent investors call for Warner Brothers. And during the investors call, there was a couple of very interesting things said. One was in reference to the potential for future Harry Potter films. And they did not flat out say, yes, we're making more and it's in the works. Those direct words weren't said. What was said was that the Wizarding World is a huge, I'm paraphrasing a little bit, but that it's this huge sort of wealth of untapped potential, and that 12 years after the most recent Harry Potter proper film from the main franchise was released, it's still huge. There's still buzz, and they're seeing that now with the recent release of Hogwarts Legacy, which is just continuing to like ruin people's lives because they're not going to work, they're not eating, they're not sleeping, they're just playing this game. And they said in this investors call that it's a world, that the Harry Potter world is a world that they're still just beginning to expand upon. So that pretty much sounds like a confirmation that we know we got to make more Harry Potter films. Like they're saying like, hey man, we've got this Harry Potter thing. It's massive. We know it's massive and we got to do something with it. And you haven't seen nothing yet. So it sounds like there's more Harry Potter on the way. The other interesting thing that was said was in reference to DC, which is another Warner Brothers property, and that there is this exciting dynamic that can come from these dedicated studios, that these governing bodies, these dedicated teams in their own sort of sub studios, and that is, it's an exciting way forward, and that it's a dynamic that Warner Brothers is poised to be able to do. They referenced that Star Wars does it, that Marvel does it, and they didn't flat out say, so we're creating a Wizarding World studio, but it was sure as hell hinted at that might be the plan, that much like, you have Warner Brothers, and then under Warner Brothers, you have your DC studios. We may see a Wizarding World of Harry Potter studio that is responsible for whether it be television shows, whether it be films, whether it, who knows what. It's interesting stuff. There's so much to unpack there. You hear this. You hear that, at least to me, it sure as hell seems like a confirmation that there's more Harry Potter on the way. And it also sounds like I don't know why you would bring up the dynamic of these sub studios if that's not what you're talking about doing yourselves. What are your thoughts? Am I missing the nail entirely? Is that what it sounds like to you? And we've talked about whether or not more Harry Potter films coming is a good idea or not, but I want to hear your thoughts on a Wizarding World studio.
I mean, if you're gonna restart Harry Potter, cast new crew, start from the ground up, this only makes sense. We've seen it. It's kind of a model. It kind of started with Marvel, the MCU, and upon purchase of Star Wars, kind of the model was copy and pasted over to Star Wars. And now
Star Wars, Lucasfilm was already its own studio, right? So that was an easy one.
It was its own studio proper, though.
Yeah.
Right? It was its own entity. Brought under the Disney umbrella, it was given the same treatment that Marvel had set up.
Yeah. No, I agree.
Right.
Yeah.
And now we see DC copying this format, this blueprint, because it works. Star Wars has seen a bit of a rocky road under Kathleen Kennedy running it, but it still worked. and DC's like not Kevin. I was going to say Kevin Feige. James Gunn's roadmap is, while when we reviewed it, the roadmap, we were kind of like, these are interesting takes and directions to go. It's still like cohesive, feels cohesive, and it feels like, okay, this is like, it's all going in one direction. You know, it's something that you can get behind easily. So it only makes sense that if they're restarting, that how they restart it. They they get a head of Wizarding World Productions, whatever they're going to call it, the Potterverse, right? To oversee and make sure, no matter where the stories are told in terms of storyline or timeline of this world, that they all flow together.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think if they don't do it, they're kind of shooting themselves in the foot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's crazy, man. The Wizarding World could become its own company. That is nuts. That's nuts. Moving on, a film that we've talked about this, and you know, there are films that you love and you hold near and dear. And the potential of a sequel to it, especially so many years later, is both something that you get excited for because, you know, you just love it so much and you'd love to have more from that world. But you also get nervous about because you're like, it's just like, it's been so long. And the first one was lightning in a bottle. And I don't know if you can capture it again. And I don't know, like, And one of those for me has been Beetlejuice 2, a film that has been in and out of production. Scripts had been written on and off ever since the first one came out. They've been batting scripts around and trying to get the thing off the ground, and it never quite took. There was a Beetlejuice Does Hawaii script at one point, like 20 years ago, and that didn't turn into anything, thank God. Because that just sounds stupid. But Brad Pitt's production company recently said, hey, we're going to do this. We're committed to making Beetlejuice 2. So that kind of breathed some life into it and kind of gave us, you know, our first real official, like, hey, yes, this is happening. And it's been full steam ahead ever since. It seems like all lights are green. It's a go. It's happening. You know, let's do it. The idea of it, though, is interesting because when you start getting into casting and understanding that it's been so many years later, because there's an interesting dynamic with this film specifically, in that you have some characters, some actors who have aged for characters that it won't make any sense for them to have aged because they died in the first one and spent most of the film as ghosts. We're talking specifically about Gina Davis's character and Alec Baldwin's character. Now, for obvious reasons, whether aging was an issue or not, I don't think they'd be casting Alec Baldwin. Not anything against Alec Baldwin, not a commentary on you know, our opinion of who's right and who's wrong and blah, blah, blah. It's just he's got a lot going on right now. Yeah, he's tied up, right? Like, it's just, that's not someone you want to bank your film on.
Very tied up.
Yeah, that's not something you want to bank your film on. But even Gina Davis, right? Like, Gina Davis's character, it won't make sense for her to have aged. And so you kind of have to, I would assume, take the story elsewhere from that. Now, who can you still have? Well, I think you can still have Michael Keaton as Beetlejuice because he's heavily make-upped and you know, whatever, they put makeup on him, they put the wig cap thing on him, and I think you could still sell that. I think you could make it work. It'd be a little, you know, it's not going to be seamless. You'll be able to tell Michael Keaton's a little older in this role, but I think he's still got the energy. I think he could pull it off. And you can't do a Beetlejuice film without Beetlejuice, and I don't think you can do Beetlejuice without Michael Keaton. So that one is a given. Lydia, Winona Ryder's character. She was still alive at the end of Beetlejuice, so that makes sense. She's aged. Lydia grew up. Absolutely. Fantastic. Fine. Lydia's parents, some of those characters are still alive. Her father, the actor that played her father, passed away, sadly, a number of years ago. Catherine O'Hara is still alive, though, and man, Catherine O'Hara needs to appear in this film, because Catherine O'Hara is just a freaking legend.
Yeah, she's great.
But then that leaves a bit of a void, and you kind of need to introduce some new characters to fill some of the roles that you're missing from losing some of your other characters. And Lydia, Winona Ryder's character, will certainly be of the age where she could have a child of her own. And it looks like the Beetlejuice production is heavily pursuing and probably in negotiations with Jenna Ortega to play Lydia's daughter. Now look, every so often, there are castings that are just inspired, right? Tony Stark, Robert Downey Jr. It's just like, it just fits. It's just like Robert Downey Jr. was born to play that role. Ryan Reynolds is Deadpool. I mean, the man was just born to play that role. This, to me, is absolutely one of those casting choices. I mean, we've seen that Jenna Ortega can do dark, obviously, with her very successful run in season 1 of Wednesday, playing Wednesday Addams. And she's just kind of like, she's in the new Scream movie. She's kind of this generation's dark goth girl typecast actor character.
Like Johnny Depp.
Kind of like Johnny Depp, kind of like Christina Ricci was, right? And in a sense, kind of like Winona Ryder was. When she did Lydia, she was in another Tim Burton film, Edward Scissorhands. And so even like Helena Bonham Carter, right? She's like, it kind of fits into that world in a really satisfying way. To me, this is a flawless decision. It's so perfect. We don't know if Tim Burton's directing. I hope Tim Burton directs, because, I mean, Beetlejuice is one of his babies. We know that Tim Burton and Jenna Ortega work together well because he's the one that did the Wednesday series. This is just genius to me. Like it just is it's like, of course, well, you have to get her. You have to, like, of course she's Lydia's kid. You hear this, what are your thoughts, man? Does this make sense to you? And are you at all interested? I know legacy sequels and stuff like that, move on, make something new, but Beetlejuice 2, if Michael Keaton comes back, if Catherine O'Hara comes back, if Winona Ryder comes back, if Tim Burton's there, is there a sense in doing this? Does it have a chance at being good? What are your thoughts?
Everything's got a chance at being good. You definitely set the bar higher for yourself because you're creating a sequel to a much beloved original movie. But this is, you can't go wrong with this casting. If it turns out to be true and that's the case. Man, I think it would be funny though if she wasn't like she gets the part, but then her character is like bright and bubbly and not like goth inspired.
Oh, I think that would be interesting.
That would be such a fun twist.
Yeah. That'd be a cool dynamic.
Mom, Winona Ryder's character is just like straight, this kind of dark, broody, goth kind of inspired character still. Mm-hmm. And her daughter is just like bright, bubbly, everything's great, unicorns and rainbows.
Because unlike the animated show where Beetlejuice and Lydia were kind of like buddies, right? They went on their adventures together. In the film, Beetlejuice is very much the villain of that film. Like they don't end on good terms with him. And so I would assume the dynamic, if they're thinking about casting someone to play Lydia's daughter, is that, so many years have passed, things have been relatively quiet, everything's fine. And then Beetlejuice rears his ugly face and is now trying to, I don't want to use the word seduce, but I mean, seduce kind of works in a maniacal kind of way, trying to seduce the next generation, right? Is in there trying to gain his freedom and manipulate and do whatever he needs to do to get out, and knows that those antics aren't going to work on Lydia because Lydia's outsmarted him before. But maybe Lydia's daughter's stupid. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway.
I got more faith in this thing every single day.
I'd be interested to see where it goes.
Yeah.
So I got a question for you on this.
Yeah.
Though.
Oh yeah.
You mentioned, like you can't do these castings because their characters are dead. They're ghosts and they can't age. Why can't a ghost age? Why can't we create a universe where Beetlejuice gets older and ghosts get older?
Well, so then what happens when a ghost like the question then becomes, what are the logistics of that? Like, are they going to age until they're 80 and then stop aging and just be an 80-year-old ghost forever? Do ghosts have a sort of a mortality clock ticking and they cease to be ghosts and then they just disappear from existence? Like what?
Well, I think that could be a fun thing to explore, don't you?
I mean, possibly.
Right? Like, why not?
Yeah.
Maybe the whole reason Beetlejuice needs to just seduce a human or whatever is because, it gives him longevity of some form or something. I don't know.
Right.
I'm just, just spitballing, playing devil's advocate here. Like, you're creating a world where this hasn't really been explored or explained in this movie's universe. So I mean, there's always that potential you could just do it and then not explain it and just let people come up with their own theories, which is always fun. And or you could explain it with kind of a easy throwaway line that most people will accept, or you could make it a huge part of the film and dive into it even further with some lore.
Yeah, I mean, Beetlejuice does reveal just trying to see if anyone's like done the math on this. Beetlejuice in the film does reference that he was alive during the time of the plague. So he's been dead a long time.
Right.
Beetlejuice, as derived from his line after scaring the Dietzes as a snake, implied, "I'm feeling a little anxious, if you know what I mean. It's been about 600 years." So he's been dead for about 600 years. So there's, I don't know, maybe the age. So yeah, whatever. All right, final topic. Big Daddy Iger, who we've talked about. I love the man. I am a Bob Iger apologist.
As you've written in the show notes, and I will now forever refer to him, Bon Iger.
Bon, yeah. Well, I'm also a Bon Jovi fan, so there's there's that. Bob Iger, who I thought could do no wrong, recently came out and said some things in reference to the MCU. And it hasn't shaken my faith in Bob Iger, but it's the first thing that I can say wholeheartedly we don't see eye to eye on. I disagree immensely. He was talking about the MCU. He didn't flat out come out and say like, this is what's wrong with the MCU, because that's a bad PR thing. You don't come out and say like, hey, let me tell you why our properties suck right now. But he was talking about the MCU and was talking about the future of the MCU. And he was talking about that the future of the MCU isn't going to be so focused on returning to the well of characters over and over and over again. And sort of what he's referencing to here is that, like, you know, who needs to see a third or fourth film from a specific character, right? And that it's tiring and not a good business plan moving forward to continue to return to the well of the success of specific characters. Look, what the issue with Thor: Love and Thunder was not that it was the fourth Thor. It was that it was not a super great movie. The problem with Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania is not that it's the third time we've gotten an Ant-Man film. It was just not a good movie, right? And so if you continue to make every film, whether it's the first time you're seeing a character or it's the fifth time or it's the 10th time, if you continue to approach every film with the same strict level of quality control, then there's nothing wrong with having 3 Guardians of the Galaxy movies. There's nothing wrong with 4 Thor movies. There's nothing wrong with 3 Iron Man films. It's when you return to the well of those characters and you just try to like bank it on. Like if James Gunn made Guardians of the Galaxy 3 and just kind of completely phoned it in and was like, well, it's Guardians of the Galaxy. Like we don't even, you know, it's going to be great because it's Guardians of the Galaxy. So just, you know, we'll do whatever. Then it's going to be a bad film and it's not going to succeed, right? You can't just bank on that. Yeah. You have to approach it with this level of quality control. So I'm sorry, Bob Iger. The issue with the MCU right now is not the fact that we're getting sequels to films. It's not the fact that we're revisiting characters. In fact, yes, it's important moving forward. You know, we have to introduce new characters. We have to keep sort of evolving the universe and adapting it and changing it and you know, whatever.
Yeah, it needs to grow.
It needs to grow, but you can't have every second film that comes out or every 2 out of 3 films that come out be one that's introducing a new character, because that's not going to work in your favor either. We're going to grow very fatigued. We're going to be overwhelmed. We're not going to be able to keep up, and we're not going to feel a connection, or, you know, we're not going to be able to really relate to any of these characters because we're not going to have the chance to get to know them. It's just going to be this like speed dating through the Marvel pantheon of characters. So I could not disagree more with this statement. I think you return to those characters. I saw someone's opinion on this. They made an excellent point. Is think about a television show. Okay, so think about this upcoming Daredevil show. 18 episodes. That means in the course of 1 year, audiences are going to return to assume, as long as the show continues to be good, as long as every time you put something out, it remains good, audiences are going to return to that character 18 times in 1 year.
Yeah.
So if we return to a character once every 2.5, 3, 4 years, however long it takes to make another sequel to, you know, whatever it is, if there's an Ant-Man 4, as long as the quality is there, we're going to go and we're going to be happy because those are the characters that we know and we've grown to love. It's a gamble every time when you introduce a new character. Right? Now, Shang-Chi was a gamble. It's a new character. We don't know. You don't know how audiences are going to respond to it. Now, the quality control was there. You made an incredible film with Shang-Chi. Yep. And I don't know about you, but I'm very interested in looking forward to a sequel to Shang-Chi. I want to find out where this goes.
Yeah. I wonder if he's making this statement purely based off of the last phase of Marvel.
Maybe,
Right,
but again, that's not the issue.
No. But if you were to look at the last phase of Marvel, all of the sequel stuff, Black Panther, Ant-Man, Thor, they performed poorly or just bad, right? Like, and where, Shang-Chi and what other new films? We didn't get any other new films.
Eternals.
Eternals didn't do too great either, I guess.
No. I mean, I like Eternals, but it didn't perform well. I'm in the minority.
Which is what I'm kind of referring to. If I were Bob Iger basing a decision purely on the last phase, I might say something similar. However, I agree with you. He's wrong. Like, he's wrong purely on the fact that every other movie franchise is and has and will continue to do the exact opposite. Fast and the Furious doesn't have 20 plus movies. I know it's not 20, but you know what I mean.
Pretty damn close.
Because they keep introducing new characters and doing away with old.
No.
Right?
Because they've created a source of a sense of family.
Right. The Harry Potter franchise didn't do 5-6 films.
7,
all different characters.
No.
Right? You can do some really nice and fun character development in a first foray introductory film. Shang-Chi's a great example. Almost all the other Marvel sticking with Marvel, all the other Marvel movies are pretty good examples of this.
Mm-hmm.
But where does the character go after their first foray? How do they get to the point where they become part of a larger team? Right? You look at the whole kind of Infinity Saga, phase 1, 2, and 3, I believe it is. And most of the main characters got 3 films that, for the most part, didn't directly affect the overarching story. There are a few exceptions. But you get some, like, you follow Tony Stark's story. If you just watch Iron Man 1 and then the Avengers films, the character takes drastic leaps in character development unless you watch Iron Man 2. The whole idea of, like, Iron Man 2 dealing with the PTSD of what happened in New York.
But your timeline's off. But yeah, so there was 2 Iron Man films, then the Avengers, and Iron Man 3 was about his PTSD.
Oh, it was Iron Man 3 where he was heavily drinking and
Iron Man 2 was the only one. Iron Man was the only one that had 2 installments in phase 1.
Right. Okay, right. Okay. Yeah, but you get my point. Like, there's this nice character progression that if you follow it through his 3 films and then the Avengers and then Age of Ultron and then Captain America Civil War and then the Endgame saga, there's this really beautiful character development that happens that gets him to the point where he's the man that can sacrifice and make that sacrifice play. And in doing so,
and that we're going to feel
it's
in a heart-wrenching
super
way.
Impactful. Sorry, what did you say?
Exactly. Basically what you just said, that it presents it, that when he does do the snap and sacrifices himself, that it's heart-wrenching. And it wouldn't have been if we had gotten one Iron Man movie And then, sure, Iron Man shows up in all the Avengers films. He shows up in Civil War, blah, blah, blah. But we haven't really had that time to, like, get to know Tony and see Tony's story. Then we would not feel his sacrifice in the same way.
Yeah.
It just wouldn't hit.
Yeah, he goes from being, I am Iron Man in episode 1, being, I'm even though at the end of this movie I've grown, I'm still a selfish playboy billionaire, to making the snap, I am Iron Man. I'm going to protect the world by giving my life.
Yeah.
The biggest sacrifice, the selfless thing that he could possibly do.
That's such a great character arc. Oh my gosh.
Right? So, but you only get that. You only get that if he has more than one standalone film.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
So, yeah, Bob Iger's wrong. Right? You can't not have multiple standalone films. And maybe he meant something different, but it doesn't sound like it.
It doesn't sound like it. Yeah. I don't know. Hopefully someone says, Bob, sit down, which nobody has the power to do, but hopefully someone gets gutsy and says it. All right. Yeah. That's it. That's the news, man. Let's take a deep breath. Exhale. Sigh of relief.
Breathe in, breathe out. The universe
all
is
this
perfect.
Bad synergy.
All those bad movies don't exist, even though they do.
Thank you so much for listening. Make sure you check out all our socials below: Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Reach out to us. Let us know what you thought about some of the topics we covered, what your opinions are, whether we're right, whether we're wrong. It means so much. Like the connection, that's what we do this for, is when you reach out to us and we have a conversation. We get to further the conversation, have a dialogue together about it. Check out our Patreon. As little as $1 a month, you can support the show, get some wicked awesome perks. It's just a good time all around. And if your wallet's feeling a little too heavy and your dresser drawers are feeling a little too empty, we have a merch page. You're going to want to check that out. There's some fun swag there that you can rock. It's good quality stuff. It's fun. You should buy our stuff.
Yeah, represent.
Represent. And until next week when we talk about more news, probably something Disney related, probably something we didn't talk about DC at all. I mean, we referenced it in terms of other things, but there was no DC news. Come on, DC, what the hell are you doing?
Yeah, get on the news bandwagon.
There's no Star Wars news. There's no what the hell.